Hi, my name is Ken Candelas. I am the mad composer of the cinematic metal opera Homerik. Now today I have the pleasure of sharing with you one of the behind-the-scenes looks on the upcoming audiobook of my novel based on this opera, The Circle of Dead Children, which is an adaptation of Dante's Inferno. Now, what you're going to see is how I use Eventide plugins like Micropitch and Black Hole to get the sound that I'm after in order to bring this immersive world of the underworld to life. Now stay tuned. I've got a lot to show you. The first thing is, how do I create the devil's voice? Specifically, a character called Evil. So let's take a look. Now, what you see on the screen over here is Pro Tools. I'm using the latest version of Pro Tools. This is Pro Tools 2024.10 at this current time. And I have been working on this project for quite a while. So what I want to show you is a couple of interesting sound design tactics that I use in order to create the sound of Evil. Now, when you actually listen to this first, you're going to hear the original narrator's voice. The narrator is Jonathan Kruk. He is the storyteller that comes from Sleepy Hollow here in New York. And we have the pleasure of hearing his voice tell the tale of Morgana and Dante, our two characters who are related and tied through evil. So, the first thing I'd like to do is just play a little bit of what the actual narrator sounds like. Now, if you are wearing headphones, you'll get the full effect. I'm doing this in binaural Dolby Atmos so that you can hear what's going on and the spatiality between characters. But let's go ahead and just take a quick listen to Jonathan Kruk's natural voice.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Now, notice that Jonathan Kruk is really sort of exuding this S's kind of thing, right? I told Jonathan Evil is like he has the tongue of a snake. Listen one more time just to pay attention. This is one of those things of the golden rules of recording that first, in order to have a great product, we need a great performance.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Right, so very essence. Now, let's take a look a little bit deeper. The next thing that I do is I add a pitch shifter, right? So this is the second layer of my playlist here, okay? What I do whenever I ever dive into sound design, I always save in a new playlist what effect I'm going to work on next, right? So I always have a chance to hear what was the original, and if I ever want to change my mind, I can always go back. So make playlists, especially when it comes to sound design in post-production. It's a really good tactic to keeping yourself on track and making sure that if you ever have to go back to something, especially when using something like Audio Suite, which is destructive, you do not want to ever lose what you were working on. So this is the next layer. So this is a pitch shifter.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Now that's great. We're getting closer to the tonality of what I want Evil to be. But now I really want to take it a step further. And this is where we actually use one of Eventide's plugins called Fission. Okay. Now, this is the first version of Fission, which has a wonderful preset. And Eventide, you got to bring this to Fission Mark II. But Legion is such an amazing preset because I can just play around a little bit with, the voices and make it sort of sound like more than one voice speaking at the same time, which is awesome because when it comes to evil, I want it to sound like all the demons of hell kind of speak through him. So let's take a quick listen to what Fission does.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Right? So that's awesome. That's kind of really close to where I want to get it. So let's go real quick. Let's listen to the narrator on his own, and then I'm going to play the pitch shift, and then I'm going to play Fission, and then we're going to listen to micro pitch.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence. Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence. Filled with hatred, this anger, this power, it embodies my very essence.
Now, if you hear on micro pitch, there's a little bit of a delay effect kind of going on, and it's just adding this more dark echo color to it. And quite literally, I'm actually working off the Dark Echoes preset as a starting point. Now, what you see with micro pitch, this is what adds all of that dimension. Now, in the voice of evil, it's quite unique because I'm always sort of adding micro pitch to a mono source, but there are ways of expanding this into Dolby Atmos, especially if you want to elevate all around you. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how I use the next level of micro pitch, which is micro pitch immersive. Now, actually, in this case, I want to highlight a moment in the book right before Dante and Virgil enter limbo. We actually go to Morgana, Dante's mother, who ends up finding herself within an ice-cold cavern. Now, what I do here is I actually have a very interesting situation. I take the ice-cold cavern and I turn it into this breathing room. And now, if you take a close listen right over here, I'm actually emphasizing this breath. Now, first, you'll hear the breath on its own, and then we'll turn it into micro pitch immersive. Now, I really, again, strongly encourage you to listen to headphones with this so that you could hear the binaural effect. Let's take a listen. Now, that sounds really intense, right? So what did I do? Well, here's one of the things that really works very well when working at a very high sample rate. This current sample rate that we're listening to is at 48K, but the actual original session is at 96, which allows me to expand the time stretching capabilities of what I can work with. So let's listen to just the time shift. And now I'm actually using varispeed so that I can lower the pitch as I stretch it. So let's take a listen. Okay, so you hear that little whistling that's kind of going on? Want to get rid of that. So I used an EQ to take that out. Let's take a listen to the next phase. Okay, we're so close. So now you hear that we have all of this stuff happening where the breath has been slowed down, it's been pitched down, and then we also applied some EQ to clean it up. The last thing is to bring it into immersive. So this is micro pitch immersive, and I'm using this thing called makeshift room. I'm taking this breath and I'm using it to create a room out of that. So let's hear that. Whoa. Okay. So real quick, let's just backtrack, listen to everything as it was before. Then what we'll do is we'll listen to it all through micro pitch immersive. Okay. One more time. Here is the original. Now let's listen to that pitch down and slow down. Okay, now we got that annoying little ring that's in there. We're going to take that out. Listen to it one more time with some EQ. Now we're going to put that as a room with micro pitch immersive. Here we go. Now, last but not least, I want you to hear in context with the rest of the story. So let's take a look at how this creates Morgana's experience in this new world.
Morgana wakes to herself sitting by an immaculate piano in a frozen cavern. 3 sources of water pooled into a moat surrounding her position that escaped via one exit. Her voice echoes in the chamber. What is it?
What is it? What is it?
Where am I? Evil appears to her again.
Okay. So you hear how all of that spaciousness with the reverbs and this subtle instrument of a voice that's just using a breath only to create ambiance. How Morgana experiences the caverns of the 9th circle of hell. So let's take a look at our last example. Something I'm really excited about. Black Hole. Now, with Black Hole, it's a very interesting plugin because when you take Black Hole to the immersive realm, every time I've ever thought of an Eventide plugin, it's always been something that takes it to the next dimension, right? Now, in this section of the audiobook, we encounter a little boy who's stuck in limbo. And every time any one of these souls, including this little boy, approaches the light of what Virgil emits from his group with Dante, they start to wither away and burn into a crisp. So what you're going to hear is how the decay of this soul just echoes into forever. And one of the key things is definitely Black Hole. So let's take a look, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen to Black Hole on just the reverb effect, okay? So right now, I've actually used 2 reverbs. I'm using a reverb to create the space around that's very natural, and then I'm using Black Hole as sort of an exterior to that, something that exudes the otherworldly, right? So in this case, let's take a listen. Let's just hear the reverbs. I just want you to hear how Black Hole marries with the 2. Okay, so there's a really nice long echo and tail to that entire event. Now, I'm going to play it again, but now we're going to listen to Black Hole turned off and see just how much Black Hole does for this. Okay, one more time. Let's take a listen to Black Hole on top of that, and then we'll listen to it in context. Now, if you're really paying attention, you're hearing the expansiveness go from the front of the stage to the back of the stage in Immersive. It's really key to listen to this in binaural for this particular example. I hope you've been doing that. If not, listen to it again and take note. Here, I want you to hear it now in context. Let's just turn Black Hole off and then we'll turn it on. Okay? One more time.
He takes one whole cadence to speak in a clear, demonic tone.
For eternity.
The last remnants of the soul echo in the words for eternity.
Okay, let's do it one more time with Black Hole on.
He takes one whole cadence to speak in a clear, demonic tone.
For eternity.
The last remnants of the soul echo in the words for eternity. His body turns to bone and ash before he could touch the two men.
Wow. I love how Black Hole just creates this dimension that starts from the front, ends in the back, and it just echoes like it's forever. This is one of those things where taking it to the next level requires a couple of certain tools. I'm really proud to be a part of this journey with Eventide, where micro-pitch immersive and Black Hole immersive add to the experience that I'm creating of one going through Dante's Inferno. If this interests you, be sure to check out Homerik, Homerik, on all socials, and you can also check out us on any streaming service to hear the album that is the opera of this experience. The audiobook will be coming out in 2025, so stay tuned if you want to hear an audiobook to the next level in Dolby Atmos. See you next time. Thanks so much.